So I wasn't like planning to present something, so this is going to be very like stream of consciousness kind of thing. This is a game that I had put on the back burner for a while. It's called Steelbreakers. It's an action party fighter, kind of inspired by games like Legend of Zelda: Four Swords, or Super Smash Brothers, or Power Stone, and stuff like that. So the main goal of the game is to be kind of like a multiplayer party fighter with like action combat and stuff. But there's also a handful of single-player modes. So I'll show off one of those while I'm yapping. So you can select any of 4 characters. They all start with different preloaded loadouts, but you can change any of them as you wish. There's different items that map to different buttons on your character's loadout, and you can double up on them. They won't do anything if you double up on them, but yeah, so I'll start with this character because he's pretty cool. We'll load in here. So there's a bunch of different maps with different objectives. This one is a wave defense kind of survival mode. So there are different switches and things you can hit here that you can toggle and activate. So like these are walls that you can switch over with switches, kind of like in Links to the Past. Then you just kind of like kill enemies and stuff. Each of the different weapons does a handful of different things. So here on the Q key, I've got the baseball bat. You kind of sit in place and pivot and choose your position. And the bigger you charge up your bat, the more damage it will do and the more knockback it will do. So for example, there's a pretty cool interaction here with this character where he also has a bomb. So you place a bomb, you can pick it up and throw it. But bombs can also be interacted with as kind of like a physics object. So if I place a bomb and hit it with the baseball bat, it will knock the bomb and slide away. And like I said, if I charge up, I get hit, that doesn't help. You can knock dudes in backwards and they can get hit by arrows and things like that. If you charge it up, it'll get knocked further. There's a lot of cool combos you can do with that. There's also bow and arrow that you can use to remotely detonate the bomb early. So a cool thing to do is like drop this, knock it back, shoot it with an arrow, and then explode it early, kind of like remote detonate it. There's interactable terrains. These are like touchpads that activate these different arrow traps. NPCs can also trigger them, so I knock this guy back and then just like stand on traps and just gonna absolutely murder these guys. This causes a lot of chaos, of course, and like when there are more things moving around, because you kind of get walloped. But you can push things around. You can destroy terrain. There are different modes where you can work together, or there's PvP as well, where you can fight each other. I can like knock this guy into a hole and he's dead. There's a lot of this is kind of not super deep intellectually, but it's pretty interesting. And there are a lot of systems that overlap each other and kind of compound. So if I go to,
that's really cool.
Thank you.
Did you make the art, or is it?
I did most of it, half the art. I did anything that's on like the UI and stuff is me. Stuff inside the game, like the monsters and stuff, it's about 50-50, whether it's me or whether it's from an asset pack that I purchased, but the licensing allows me to extend it and update stuff.
I mean, you've got to customize some stuff, it's not all going to fit, but
yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah, thanks. So all the character portraits and like the animations for the characters are me. There's some other cool loadouts here. What's a cool one? So we got a hammer, we've got dash boots, and we'll do a bomb. This is not a mode where you can play with this will be cooler in the second half when I set this up with 4 controllers and you can play like 4-player like co-op and stuff like that. But this mode is not single player. This one is a prototype. So the kind of the basis of this game is kind of like a way for me to learn how to make an action game. This is on a custom engine using FNA or Monogame, which is like kind of you get a render loop and update loop and some libraries for controllers and sound effects and stuff like that. But I wanted to figure out how to do like action. I've done turn-based games before this, and then I wanted to do like action games where you have like hitboxes and real-time reactions and physics and things like that. Hey, Joel. So the idea is to figure out the combat engine and get all the physics and things worked out, and then crash the game. This is an alpha at the moment, but basically the idea is that if I figure out the combat engine and how to control the game, and to get the NPCs working and all that stuff, then that will become the basis of something I can release as kind of like a replayable kind of multiplayer game, and then that builds the foundation for what I actually want to build, which is like a full style like Legend of Zelda, like action adventure game kind of thing. So you kind of get two birds stoned at once when you can reuse your code from one project and bring it into another project. That's kind of the
reusing
idea.
your code from the last FNA game you made?
Sorry?
Are you reusing code from the last FNA game you made?
Yeah, I am. So there's one of the things that's cool, and I don't have my stuff over here, but you'll see when I set it up later, which is I use a lot of like framework code that's shared between the two. So one of the things you can do, for example, is this integrates with Steam input. So over here, you'll see all the different like inputs and things. If I'm using a controller, it will automatically update to the correct glyphs and icons for the controller that you're using. And if you're playing like 4 players with 4 different controllers, they'll each independently see the correct kind of controller they are. A lot of games you kind of have to pick one that will be like universal for everybody. But because I hook into Steam input is smart enough to know which controller is in. And all of that stuff was in my previous game, and I was able to port that stuff into this game.
Are you using ECS for data?
No, I have a prototype. I was thinking of translating this into like an ECS architecture. That's not what this version of the game is. This is just actor-based, like object-oriented stuff.
Is that working well for you?
Sorry?
Is that working well for you?
It's okay. One of the reasons I want to experiment with and potentially move to ECS is for the sake of rollback netcode. So this is all offline, local multiplayer. Like the idea of turning something like this into something that you play online is like would be like virtually impossible for a solo dev like me in the way that it's built right now. So if I could design it in such a way that I could have that rollback netcode, it would make the inputs much smoother. And allow for you to play the game because it's a very action, fast-paced kind of thing. It's very reactive, and if you're going to play online and there's any input lag, this is going to feel really bad.
So I imagine you do the physics side or something, right?
Yeah, I'm handling the physics in this myself, which is pretty not easy. But there are ways to simplify the physics in such a way that you don't have to really I'm not doing any crazy math or anything like that. But when it comes to prediction or rollback or anything like that, none of that is really possible here. Whereas if I had like a more data-driven architecture, then I could, snapshot the state of the world and roll back and like replay like changes that happen in the world. But that's not what this version is. Whether I actually do migrate to that architecture or not depends on some experiments that I intend to do when I'm done releasing my current game on the Switch, which is the one before this one, the tactics game. But everything's kind of up in the air until that's done. So this has been kind of on hold. I've been doing like some art updates and things like that. So the characters have like new portraits. There's a lot of like polished UI and stuff that I've been doing. Some folks during the meetups here have been giving feedback on kind of accessibility issues. So like when you're playing multiplayer, there's 2 different camera modes. One of them is kind of a shared camera, like a pan and zoom kind of thing. It's kind of hard to demonstrate without my controllers here, but you can switch between split screen or pan and zoom. So pan and zoom is kind of like Super Smash Brothers, where like when the characters move closer together, the camera zooms in, and so you get to see more of what's going on. But then when people get knocked away, it'll kind of zoom out and pan over, so you can see like everything on one screen, and it's all shared. But with split screen, like each person will get their own independent camera, like sectioned off in a corner of the screen, or in 2-player, it'll be 2 halves of the screen. And then one of the issues though is that when you have a shared screen, one of the effects in the game when you get hit by something is screen shake. So this has been toned down a lot. You don't really see much screen shake at all. I don't know if that's a bug or if that's something that I'm currently working on, but basically when you share the screen, everyone who gets hit will add to the screen shake. And so when you're playing in 4 players, that multiplies like crazy. The whole camera is like constantly shaking, and it really gets disorienting for folks who aren't used to that or don't like that. Especially if someone else is getting hit and you're not, you're kind of like chill and no one's hitting you, but suddenly like your screen is shaking. It's really disorienting for a lot of folks. So that's something I'm working on. Some kind of like multiplying or dividing the screen shake based on whether or not you're in one camera mode or the other, so that it doesn't impact you as much, especially if you're not the one getting hit. Any other questions? Cool. Like I said, this doesn't demo super well when you're by yourself. It's really meant to be played with multiple people. So in the second half, when we start showing things on the floor, please come by. I'm happy to answer any questions or play a few games with you. Yeah. Thanks.